As the nation soon marks 250 years, you might think of patriots as Revolutionary War heroes from battles long ago. But MacDill Air Force Base reminds us there are patriots serving right here every day in Tampa.
That's for sure. Tonight, Courtney Robinson introducing us to one of those patriots called to serve by events that happened 82 years ago tomorrow on D-Day.
Hi,
Courtney.
Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Good
Thank
to see you. All right, let's get going.
Okay.
Major General Will Beaurpere met with me in the United States Special Operations Command library. Surrounded by history, we talked about patriotism, citizenship, and his call to serve.
I was born in France to French parents, French grandparents, and I grew up as a kid in France, hearing about the U.S. Army.
Serving in the U.S. Army was a destiny of sorts, beginning in Nazi-occupied France. His grandmother, who's now 102, was pregnant in Normandy on D-Day.
She tells the story of going to bed that night and hearing the planes and the bombardments, and she knew something was occurring. She couldn't tell what it was, but it was a long night, and her family took refuge in the basement of their house. And then eventually they rose to a knock on the door, and it was her husband that opened the door and was greeted by a U.S. Army soldier, a paratrooper.
His grandfather, an officer in the French Army, spent 5 years in a prisoner of war camp before being liberated by American soldiers.
And the way the U.S. Army was portrayed to me was always in a very positive light because it was the great liberator.
How has that history influenced your leadership with the United States Special Operations Command, but also the greater military?
You know, everybody has a different reason for serving. And so you come into the service maybe with some initial aspirations. And I think for me, it was that legacy of wanting to be part of something that was so important to my family. And now, you know, newly naturalized American citizen, for me, it was earning that citizenship.
Now, decades later, he helps lead some of the nation's most elite forces. He says patriotism is bigger than one uniform or one battlefield.
Fundamentally, patriotism is about doing something above and beyond yourself, not for you, but for the greater good.
That service often becomes generational. 3 of his children chose to join the Army. His wife served too.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's how we met. We met in ROTC. She was in Army ROTC with me at Boston College. She served as an Army nurse for almost 5 years. Got out as a captain.
Serving by his side, she's led them through 19 moves, years apart from extended family, deployments. In the same breath, Beaurpere says service brings opportunity, education, leadership, a rare perspective of the world and America's place in it.
My oldest daughter did 3 different high schools. 3 different high schools, probably not optimal, but I look at her now, you can plop her down anywhere in the world and she can adapt to any environment and make friends anywhere.
There's community, military families stepping in for one another, a shared understanding of sacrifice.
And then, you know, I think fundamentally, the reason I continued to serve, and now 3 decades later, still blessed to wear the uniform, is the people to my left and right.
And as America celebrates 250 years, they remind us service didn't end with the generations who built this country.
The call will come someday. It came for me on September 11th, 2001, for my generation. And it'll come for the next generation like it came for prior generations.
What gives you hope when you look at the next generation of service members?
What matters is they're willing to step forward and be that next generation. So I have tremendous hope when I see that. I just hope, you know, we can sustain that going forward. I think that's really important.